Hello, all you beautiful angels. It's your girl Harpo. Welcome to this episode of Brown Girl Guild titled Harpo Didi's Dating Sabbatical. So, before I get into this episode, I'm going to define the word sabbatical because not all of us have heard this word before. So, sabbatical means a rest or break from something. It's an extended period of time intentionally spent on something that's not your routine. It's like a time away, it's a break, right? So, Harpo Didi's dating sabbatical basically just means all that time that Harpo Didi took off from dating. And I wanted to record this episode and really capture this experience that I've recently had because it's like something that was so life changing for me and has been so life changing and continues to produce a lot of wonderful impacts in my life. And I wish this is something that I learned a long time ago. And quite often I meet other young women and I end up telling them a lot of this. And just, I thought, let me put it in a podcast episode for girlies to hear this in masses. So let's go back to the past, okay? Blast from the past. So I have experienced a lot of bad situations when it comes to dating. I have had my heart broken many times. And actually, there is a season of Brown Girl Guilt that is dedicated entirely to my relationship woes. And here's the thing: human beings are inherently social. We actually learn about ourselves and the world by being in relation with one another. And relationships for anyone, for a lot of human beings, are actually where, I mean, not even for a lot, like every single human being experiences whatever they experience because of relationships. So I'm not the only one. But anyway, I, like many of you listening, have also experienced a lot of gundamund when it comes to dating and relationships and romance. So I was someone who was chronically like finding herself in situationships. Like all the time I was in situationships. I was having a hard time getting out of the situationship phase and really solidifying into like a relationship, something that was meaningful. And just having a lot of like throwaway experiences with a lot of people who weren't treating me right, weren't making me feel loved, weren't really showing up for me, weren't really interested in me. And actually, like this is like a pattern. Like almost all the men that I have dated really didn't care about me, um, weren't interested in me, made no effort to get to know me or be a part of my life or make any effort for them to open up to me so that I could get to know them. And I just constantly found myself really disappointed. And it was starting to take a toll on my self worth, on my mental health, just my like general outlook in life. And at a particular time, I decided that I was going to take a break because clearly something wasn't working. And yes, I was meeting all these like really misaligned people, but at the core of all of this was actually me. Like I was condoning this behavior. I was the one that was accepting this kind of behavior. So I just decided I was going to take a time out and I was just going to take a little bit of a pause and a break. I didn't go into it thinking that I was going to take a break for as long as I did, but I just knew that I needed to like really pump the brakes and just be with myself. I say that also to say that this is not something that we're taught as young women, as people in general. We're never taught that it's okay to take a break, to take a pause, to really just like distance ourselves. We're constantly told that we should be like searching for love, looking for love. And also, even if we're not being told it, I think deep down we have this like constant yearning and desire, no matter how much we actually deny it. Most of us, especially us women, us girlies, we have this like yearning, this desire to find a partner who completes us. And it's not entirely our fault because this is something that we've been conditioned by society, by our family, by the media that we consume. We're constantly taught to seek out partnership as a way of completion, as a way of feeling whole within ourselves. And so a lot of us have spent probably more time trying to be lovable for a potential partner and catering to our partner than we have spent on actually getting to know ourselves, right? So we spend more time getting to know the partners in our lives than we do on getting to know ourselves. And I am one of those people. I have been taught since I was a kid that I will only be complete when I am married, when I have a man, when I have a family, right? Even till now, all the great accomplishments that I have achieved are absolutely nothing in the face of the fact that I'm still single. And I'm not the only one, right? This is like a huge cultural thing. And so we're constantly being bombarded with the idea that we should be constantly seeking partnership. And none of us have been taught that it's okay to pause, it's okay to stop. And also, it's okay that, like, we might not ever want that. Like, that might not be something that we actually want. And so, taking a break from dating for me was a pretty liberatory experience, a liberatory decision, because it was something that I don't know, I just, like, when once I granted that permission to myself, I was like, "Huh, like, I can do this. I'm allowed to take a break." And so I did. I took a break from dating, and it actually lasted a whole year. So for 1 whole year, I didn't date, I didn't talk to a boy, didn't look at a boy, didn't touch a boy, didn't anything. Like, just 1 whole year, just focused on what was unraveling in my life. And what I really wanted to do was get curious about what my patterns are when it comes to love and romance, my pattern when it comes to partnership, why I keep repeating some of the same lessons, same cycles, why I keep getting into like situationships, and why I keep allowing for like really bottom tier experiences, why I keep allowing but partners and like men that I'm dating treat me the way that they treat me, and why I am like, why the bar is on the freaking floor. Like, that was like the main crux of my intention, was to figure out why the bar is on the floor for me. And I can confidently say, as I'm standing here exactly like just over a year later, that taking that sabbatical was probably one of the best things I could have done for myself. Taking time away to just take a breath, to take a beat, to take a pause, to really get grounded in who I am, and to just start exploring where my relationship patterns and my like attachment and my attachment style, where all that comes from, was groundbreaking. It was so transformative. And I know that I'm not nearly finished, but I'm in such a stronger place now than I was before. What taking a break from dating actually allowed me to do was really deepen my relationship with myself, and to come to finding partnership, seeking partnership from a very intentional, meaningful place. And throughout that 1 year, it's not like somebody had given me a timeline, somebody had said to me that you have to do this. It was all on my own accord. And nowhere during that time did I feel like I was incomplete, that, I was making the wrong decision. Um, it felt really good and aligned. Like, it was something that I had decided for myself. And let me tell you, girls, like, taking that break really opened up so many different things for me. It made me understand what kind of a partner I actually really want, what changes I can make within myself and my habits and my patterns and my actions, so that I start to create a life that is of alignment, like in alignment with what I truly want. And I got to really take a highlighter and go over so many of the mistakes that I'd been making, and get really honest and very clear about how I could improve, what I could do better, right? So the thing is, when we are like, when we keep repeating the same mistakes and the cycles again and again, it's because we're not giving ourselves enough space between the action and the response, or the action and the reaction, um, to just like figure out, like, to just stretch that space. Like, I think it's really important that we stretch the space between what we want and then what we do. It's really important. And if you're the kind of person who constantly finds themselves like jumping from like relationship to relationship, situationship to situationship, or like, talking stage to talking stage, I think that that's actually a really good indicator for you that maybe you just need to slow down. Maybe you just need to pause. Maybe you just need to let go and stop putting so much pressure on something, because the reason that I was doing that a lot at that time in my life was because there was this like gigantic void in my life that I was trying to fill with a potential partner, with a relationship. And the interesting thing is what really illuminated that for me was realizing that a lot of the people that I was dating, I mean, after the storm had passed, I realized that I actually didn't even like them that much. We didn't have the same interests, our values didn't align. They weren't treating me right. They were interested in, just the physical part of a relationship. So they just wanted to hook up, really, and they didn't value me. They didn't respect me, and I realized that it was actually like me trying so hard to make someone fit into this idea that I had, this like story that I had been telling myself, this like vision that I had created for my life, that it actually didn't matter who the person was that I was seeing or spending time with. I just wanted to A, check something off my list, and B, use this person's validation to now suddenly have like a higher sense of worth. I don't know if that makes sense, right? So it's like, I'm going to break it down in like simple language. If somebody likes me, then I am lovable. If somebody dates me, it means that I'm good enough. If someone spends their time with me or is interested in me, therefore, I am worthy. I am like, there's a purpose to me. And so I actually wasn't looking for a partnership for the sake of partnership. I was looking for someone to come and fill this like gigantic hole, like I said, that I had, right? And that's not fair. That's not absolutely fair to even the people that I'm dating. It's also not fair to me. And it's actually very misaligned with the life that I truly want. And so taking a break from dating was so important, especially because the dating scene right now is a very instant gratification dating scene. So we have dating apps, we have social media apps, and we exist in this ecosystem where like we just think that we have like a million options. So that like personable connection that we actually are seeking is really hard to find when you're constantly in this instant gratification loop. And when you're constantly swiping left and right on people, it's really hard to find really, really meaningful interaction. And so I think we are just conditioned to enter into this space without any intention, without actually like really understanding what we truly want. And so, what I want to say to you, if you're listening to this right now, is to just like take a step back, really get clear about what you want, where that desire for partnership is coming from, and really start to build a picture of the kind of partner that you truly want, and then start holding that up as a litmus test for the people that you are dating. I think the greatest evidence that I have seen as like the evidence of success for my sabbatical is actually the last person that I was just seeing. So I'm gonna tell you all a story. So I took a break from dating, right? It was first like a few months, then it was 6 months, and then it was okay, I'm just gonna go until the end of the year. And then it was I'm just gonna take it to a year. And then at a certain point, when I was feeling ready, I thought, okay, I'm gonna go back into the dating arena. I'm gonna open myself up. I would like to experience love and partnership, and I would like to engage in something meaningful. So I went on Hinge. Anyway, I went on Hinge and I matched with someone. He was cute, and we started hanging out. And I think we spent about a month together. And, when I was seeing this person, I was a lot slower with my arrival on how I truly felt about this person than I have been in the past. So in the past, what I used to do is find somebody, they were cute. There was like maybe two things I liked about them. Bam, immediately I was hooked, right? I was attached. I didn't have feelings for them. I wasn't in love with them. I was just attached, right? It was just, I don't know. I'm like, go listen to my episode, Stop Dating Your Dad, after this one so that you can understand what I mean by that. But anyway, this time around, I arrived quite slowly and I could see that there were things that were happening that were reminiscent of the old pattern that I had when I was dating. But then also, there were so many new things that I was experiencing, so many ways that I was approaching this entire situation in a different way out of expansion, out of growth. And I realized that this person was repeating the same pattern that I had experienced before I went on my sabbatical. It had all the right ingredients, all the same ingredients as the past experiences. This person really wasn't that interested in me. They weren't really making an effort. They weren't consistent. They weren't communicative. Um, and they just like weren't making an effort. And um, I mean, like this person wasn't even opening up enough to get me, like to allow me to see if they were interesting or not, right? And so I could have acted like old Harpo, right? I could have been just like miserable, constantly waiting around, hanging around for their message to see if they would ask me out again, if they would make an effort, just really be like totally complicit in this like hot and cold energy and just probably find herself back into a situationship where she was attached to someone that she barely knew but was really, really holding on to this idea of what she thought she wanted. And I don't know about y'all, like sidebar, I like do this thing, or actually, I should say I used to do this thing where I would create like an entire story about the person in my head. Like the actual material reality of this person was vastly different than like what I'd created in my mind. Anyway, I probably would have done that again. But because I had given myself one whole year, one whole year of just figuring out why I was doing what I was doing and what I really wanted, and then the kind of partner that I wanted, because I had created a lot of space between my intention and my action, I realized probably like, I mean, I could have realized this at least 1 week before it actually happened, but I realized pretty quickly that this thing wasn't aligned. This thing wasn't right for me. This person wasn't right for me, and that I did deserve better. And actually, I wanted better, right? Like, deservingness aside, I wanted better. This just wasn't even aligned with what I really wanted. And so, very, like, I would say, I'm not going to use the word easily. I wouldn't say easily because it took me a little bit of time to arrive at it, but a lot more swiftly and gently than before. I was just super open and honest, first with myself about, like, Harpo, this isn't what you want. It's not aligned. This person isn't giving you what you need, what you want, which is partnership, consistency. I mean, let's not even say partnership because like you can't know that at, after knowing someone for only four times that you've seen them. But what my needs at that time were consistency, communication, and connection. And those needs that I had established during my sabbatical were not being met. And so it was a pretty simple decision to be like, okay, like, it's been like a few weeks and I'm not getting what I really want. And so I should probably call it. So I realized that. And what I did after being open and honest with myself was I was just open and honest with this person. I was just like, hey, you're just not that into me. And I think it's been nice, but I'm gonna move on. It was so simple. It was as simple as that. It ended really, chill, fine, whatever. And the thing is, old Harpo would have given herself a million reasons for why this person was acting in that way and probably justified that behavior and those actions. But this version of me was like, no, it's actually not enough. And that's not to throw any shade at the person, but I find that the greatest culprits in our like heartbreak, like quite often, the greatest culprits in our misalignment, in our disconnection from ourselves is actually ourselves, right? Like we always have a choice. We always have a choice about what we accept, what we don't want to accept, where we want to go, how we want things to land. And for so long, I had been making different decisions. And this time around, I knew that the 1 year that I had given myself, the 1 year of commitment that I had given myself, the time and space that I had given to really arrive at what I want deserved better, right? I needed to honor that. And so I ended something that didn't work for me for the first time in my life. For the first time in my life, I walked away from a half-ass situationship that wasn't aligned for me anymore. Now, I probably wouldn't have been able to do that had I been caught in the rat race of the old patterns, which is why I am again saying that, your sabbatical doesn't need to be a year. I'm not saying that you should take 1 year off, 2 years off, 6 months off. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that it's important. It's so important. And actually, it's our responsibility to give ourselves some time to create space between our intention and our action so that we can understand what we want, how we can get it, what it's going to take to get it, the kinds of commitment, the kinds of strength, the kinds of consistency it's going to take for us to bring into our space like what we want, right? It's really important. And I've said this a few times in the Brown Girl Guilt episodes, but manifestation, right? Co-creating with God or spirit in the universe only happens when you are willing to meet the external force halfway. So if you're asking God for your perfect partner, for your soulmate, for that relationship that you really want, for that life that you want, but you're doing everything that's quite the opposite and is not supportive, then how is that going to happen? How is that going to come into fruition, right? So we have to work with spirit, God, universe. We have to work with our manifestations. We have to consider ourselves worthy and deserving of what we want. And I know that that takes a lot and it's scary as shit sometimes to be like, "Oh my God, I want this." And doing something different is so different. It's so scary. It's so out of the norm. I don't know how to do it because the patterns that we have, the things that we do are so comfortable, they're so normal, they're so safe that quite often our bodies feel and our minds feel the most rested and the most quote unquote aligned in the patterns that we're used to. But it's really up to us to break the patterns. It's really, really us. It's really, really up to us to challenge the understandings and the notions that we have held for so long. And it's up to us to do things differently. One of the most profound things that I often say to myself are, Harpo, if you want different, you have to do different. And we can only do that when we are clear, when we are concise, when we are grounded, when we are intentional, and we are abundant, when we're coming from a place of abundance, not from a place of scarcity, but from a place of abundance. So I'll say it again. It doesn't have to be 1 year like it was for Harpo Didi, but give yourself space between your intention and your action so that the life that you really, really want has a fighting chance to come into reality.